It's Wednesday. You know what that means. Time for the Southern California Writers Association Hump Day Book Tour. Host Maddie Margarita here with Diana Pardee on tech. Every Wednesday morning, SCWA turns our Facebook page over to a new writer to talk about their book and their work. This morning, we are pleased to have with us Lisa Cupolo. Lisa has been a paparazzi photographer in London, an aid worker in Kenya, a script doctor in LA, and a literary publicist at HarperCollins in Toronto. Wow. Her stories have been published in the Virginia Quarterly Review, Ploughshares Narrative, the Idaho Review, and others. She holds a BA in philosophy from the University of Western Ontario, a graduate degree in portrait photography from the London Institute, and an MFA from the University of Memphis. She's lived all over the world, but we are lucky to have her with us today because she currently resides in Southern California, where she's taught fiction writing at Chapman University. Morning, Lisa.
Hey, Maddie. Thank you so much for having me on. I'm excited to be here.
Well, like I was saying before we were on camera, I've never met a paparazzi photographer or somebody who's been an aid worker in Kenya or a script doctor. You have done everything. You should write just about your experiences, but you write about other people, right?
I do. I mean, I have a memoir that I'm working on also, but this is my first book, which is a collection of stories, and the travel does definitely show up, as you can tell from the cover, which I love. This cover is just, it's amazing because it just, I don't know, with the airplane and everything, it just really thrilled with the cover. But yes, I mean, there's stories from Toronto to Calgary, where I'm from in Canada, and then, you know, Africa, Greece, and then, you know, Catalina Island. I have a story in Catalina Island here.
Wow. Well, I think we were also talking a little bit before about short stories. And you teach or you taught short story writing. I mean, I think there's an economy that's forced on short story writers that novel writers don't have to suffer through. There's a clarity that you have to have, even though they don't necessarily follow the same structure as novels. They tend to have more clarity, a purpose.
And it happens, I mean, stories, that's what I teach, short story writing. That's the one class I'm still teaching at Chapman, is writing the short story. And the biggest thing that comes out of it is you have a great character, but something has to happen because you've got 10, 15 pages max. And so, you know, for instance, in my story, You're Here Now, one of the first lines is, you know, I'd never met my father, but I'm on the way to his funeral. And so you're like, okay, wow, you know, what happens next? And she ends up going and meeting 8 siblings that she'd never met before. So that's kind of, and then another one that I really like, How I Became a Banker, it's called. It starts with, when I was 13, I made a promise to myself that I'd make a shitload of money. And, you know, in that sentence, you get a lot of the character, you know, her sense of,
right away.
Yeah. And where, you know, you want to know where, you know, how she became a banker, and then what happened to make her so jaded. And so, yeah, I mean, teaching the short story has been really an amazing thing because it's always informing me. My students are great at Chapman. And, but it is with a short story. I mean, you can learn so much reading. For me, it's the Canadians, Alice Munro. There's like Alice Munro and Carol Shields, Margaret Atwood, the big three from where I come from. So those are my, you know, how I learned to write stories or study them. I mean, that's what I just love, studying how to write it. And because you can learn sentence by sentence, like every sentence has to either be telling about the character or developing the plot. And so it's like, you know, I love to look at students' work and on that basis.
Yeah, I think I've been in a couple of anthologies and written short stories, and you know, always working on novels. But for me, it's the ending of the short stories that are harder because the payoff has to be shorter, quicker, and punchier, I think. You know, you have to be able to get to that emotional part of your story, that payoff faster, you know, and it has to make it worth the while, or else you're like, wow, what did I just read a couple of pages of, you know, it was fun and entertaining, but how do you do that? I mean, does it come to you or?
It's to me, it's more like it comes to me from some higher power, the endings, because I really feel like stories, you're not trying to answer anything. I write about love, how we fail at love, how we, we try, we stay in relationships, but there's something beautiful about that. And the ending is never for me about, some, tying it up or it's going to work out okay. It's like some kind of beautiful moment that you're just like, okay, they go sit by the tree and realize that, okay, this is the way it is, or, because life is hard, it's struggle, but I want the reader to feel like they recognize themselves in the characters, and then they have some sense of warmth at the end, and not something scary, without
Right.
being, it's very, very difficult. I mean, I have, endings are not my forte either. It takes me a long, long time to get it right.
So when you sit down and write these stories, do you write to an ending, or or like you said, do the endings come to you, or do you start with the character, or the setting, or the arc? Where do you start?
Yeah.
I mean, and you have a whole book of them. So not only did you do it once, you did it many times. So
Yeah, it's the characters. It's always character for me, character driven, and getting a real sense of that person and getting into their minds. So the endings, I would say are the strongest for me. I'm always looking at character. I've always been an observer in life, and so I really, I love that, getting into the mind, and I want the characters. Exactly who they are in just a few sentences. That's what I really strive to work for. And then somehow, yeah, I leave stories for a while and then I come back. That's a wonderful way to do it. And then see what comes up, I guess. Yeah. Or if I'm stuck, I go read somebody I love, a great writer. My husband's a great writer, Richard Bausch. He writes short stories. So I read his work and, check off. I read a lot, and then I think, oh yeah, you can do this. That's great, because you get inspired, right? I mean, it's so fun.
yeah, until you hit that one spot, and then you're like, oh yeah, I can do this.
It's
Um,
Yeah, it's hard.
the life of a writer. So you you say you write about love, but it's not all romantic love. It's more connection of all kinds, right?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, I write about familial love a lot, like the inter families, but then love from afar. Um, Gosh, like and chances, broken chances, where you think it's going to go one way and then it doesn't. Surprising love. I'm trying to think of what story that I can tell you about. Teacups is one of my stories. I don't know if I mentioned that, but it's for people that are in a therapy group together, and they're actually in a bigger therapy group, and they're going to the subway together, the four of them, after therapy, and they decide, screw the paying the money for therapy, we're just going to meet and have coffee every week, Wednesday at 10 at this little Letiri cafe in Toronto. And it's so fun because it's told from the point of view of the woman who wants a baby and can't have a baby. And then she's got these three others that are very dynamic characters, but it's about her realizing that she has to leave her husband because she really wants to adopt, and she hasn't told him that yet, but she's already filled out the paperwork. And that one was hard to end, but anyway, interesting.
Yeah, so we haven't even mentioned the name of the book, which is Have Mercy on Us.
Yes.
And it's a collection of stories. And I know you have experience as a photographer as well. So one of the questions I had is your attention, or the attention to detail that photographers have, and attention to composition, things like that, how does that inform your writing?
Oh, that's such a good question. It really does in a lot of ways. I'm not great at, pastoral settings, getting the whole scene right of this is where it was in the town. But in terms of what the character sees, I love to sketch that out. And again, with precise details, like precision. When I'm teaching, I talk about that. There's like 16 different ways you can say this, but there's only one perfect way. And man, that feels good when you get that perfect one. And I've had a lot of different lives, you know, that whole thing of your past. In a past life, I was a photographer, a paparazzi photographer. But now, as like, you know, a 50-year-old woman with a kid, and I'm, you know, you just leave all those past lives. Did I really do that? That's what I think, you know, at this point.
Right.
But it stays with you, right? You carry all these things. And yes, I was in Kenya, and some of my stories, you know, are set there because, but I lived there and I loved it. And who knows how, you know, the truth and not truth get into your work, because I don't even know that. That's for, you know, psychologists to figure out. But I know that it's very healing to write. I know that it's very, like, you know, when I first came back from Kenya, I thought, you know, I'm just going to go back and live there. But then I was doing more writing, and I thought, I'm going to, you know, I have stories. But it took me, gosh, like 6 years to write a story that, you know, I could really come back and say, okay, I've processed, I'm in it, I'm far enough away. Yeah, because there's no politics in writing. That's the big thing, right? You're an observer, and you're watching people and how they connect and live.
Well, I think that's so interesting, and you know, watching the connections, and all the travel that you've done, it has had to have molded your perspective. So with all the travels that you've done and all the different things that you've done, how is your author's eye different from somebody who might maybe not have had the kind of experience? Do you think you look at things differently, or?
Oh, I think I do. I mean, but that's, you know, that's the thing, you know, I had a different drummer. I think really, my whole life, I felt different, but at the same time, my philosophy now is much more that we're all one in a lot of ways. And that's kind of maybe the difference, because I'm no different than, you know, the kids that I was with in Kenya versus, you know, anybody who's, you know, the billionaire in Newport Beach that I'm helping write her memoir. You know, we're all connected. And so that's really the theme, I think, of my work is to find the connection, and some kind of spiritual connection in a way. And I hope that does come through. And the more I'm writing and, you know, I feel like that's the real difference in a way, or not even difference. That's the perspective, the luck I have, because I have had a lot of things don't stress me out, like Thanksgiving tomorrow. It's not even my Thanksgiving. You know, my Thanksgiving was back in October. And so it's like, and my daughter's sick and my husband's sick, and we're just gonna punt it. It's like, oh, well.
Just gonna be together and really be thankful.
Yeah, watch some TV.
Yeah, that sounds good.
Yeah.
So, what do you think a reader can expect when they buy Have Mercy on Us? What experience or adventure or whatever do you think that they could experience when they buy your book? What can they look for?
I hope it's wayfaring and fun, and that they get a real heartwarming sense when they read it, and real nurturing sense of who, even though they're in a story with this, you know, the man I talked about who goes to get his son in Kenya, you connect with him, you understand his longing to help his daughter, even though he's ridiculously going all the way there to get her, but you're with them. And, you know, I want to write stories that I want to read. I mean, I think that's what a lot of people say. And I love just being really connected with characters, and then hopefully saying, well, I wonder what they're doing now. You know, and characters that stay with you, like people in your life. I mean, I'm sure that's happened to you, is like you're still thinking about the novel you read and going, gosh, that's not even a real person. I actually just read a story about them. So yeah, that's what I would love for people to get out of my book.
So people who want to make new friends and travel and be transported from where they are in any given point in time, and find new friends and new places and Have Mercy on Us, right?
Absolutely. And it's not out yet, but it is available for pre-order. It will come out January 24th. But my publisher is Regal House, and they have it there. And I'm learning all sorts of new things. I guess Goodreads is the place. If you happen to be on Goodreads and you put it on your shelf, that's a really good thing if anybody is interested.
Yeah, we like that. And when you do get your copy, if you could leave a review, I'm sure Lisa would appreciate reviews.
That would be amazing. Thank you.
That would help also. All right. Well, Lisa, thank you so much for being with us this morning. We wish you the best of luck with Have Mercy on Us. We're excited for you and excited to get our hands on it. I'm excited to get my hands on it. And
Yes.
hopefully you'll let us know how it's going, and we'll see you again. And
Thank you so much.
when that memoir comes out, you better call us and let us know.
For
'Cause
sure.
I want to get my hands on the Hugh Grant story if that's in there.
Right?
Yeah, and that's a teaser for anybody who wants to take a look at that. All right, everybody, thank you for being with us this morning. Thank you, Lisa. Thank you, everybody, for maybe having coffee with us and enjoying another author and maybe some new perspectives and adventure in your life. If you enjoyed this interview on Facebook, you can go ahead and share it. If you would prefer to go to YouTube, you can go to SCWA Writers Online and see not only Lisa's interview, but other author interviews. So again, thank you. Take care of
Thank you,
yourself.
Maddie.
And we will see you all next week.